Hello, hello. Welcome back to what I must say with a heavy heart is our final episode of this season for Harambedome. And I am going to be joined by my co-host for this final episode. He is dealing with a work issue and will be on as soon as he can. But in the meantime, I also have our league champion. All right. JB, Gibby DeLute, welcome. Congratulations, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Sean. I must say, I've
Oh,
had a couple times before. Oddly enough, I didn't feel like this was my strongest, most complete team ever, but it wound up getting it done. So I'm happy to be here, happy to finally be on top, and looking forward to rounding off this podcast with a good episode.
we're certainly glad to have you. I know Jordan is. I'll speak for him, and I know he won't deny that. He's glad to have you on here. So, again, I know you just gave a brief summary, but listen, you are the league champ, and for the first time ever. And if I'm not mistaken, you dug and found out that you and Ted are two of the only ones in the league, or the only two, to have a deucing championship win and loss, and then a El Harambe win and loss. That's correct.
Yeah, that's. I don't know if we're the only ones, but we're definitely two that have done it. I didn't look at everybody else's stuff.
So
Um,
what I'm getting at is you've seen it all. You've
yeah,
experienced
man. I
it
mean,
all. How does this
me and
feel?
Ted, we stay active. I forget what room we're at. Floor three, caster. We stay active. We're not some sit around, twiddle our thumbs type of players. We're in the game. I did mention it in the group chat. I felt like the the high of playing to not get the loser's punishment felt a little stronger. Maybe it's like a self preservation thing. Felt a little stronger than playing for the trophy. But I'm by no means upset to have won the trophy. That thing's forever. My name's going to be on it. Uh, there are some teams that might never get it in their lifetime. Kind of like some teams in the NFL that haven't pulled the Super Bowl win yet. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm happy to get it done at least once, and I can always hold that over any other person in the league who has yet to win it.
that is absolutely true. And I would just like to add before I say anything else, yeah, there's some teams that haven't won Super Bowls, but some of those teams have won like NFL championships before there was the Super Bowl. So I just wanted to throw that out
Yeah,
there. Yeah, just
it's
saying.
like a consolation
But
prize. We
yeah,
can
I
we can
mean,
hand that out.
yeah, hey. But either way, I wanted to ask a couple questions. So how did it feel starting Derek Carr against your own team over a man who got you there in Joe Flacco, especially after Ted dropped the prophecy that he who starts Joe Flacco shall win the league, which you were the only one to start Joe Flacco, so it did
Okay,
hold true.
I will. Yeah, I would like to clarify. A lot of times when a true prophet gives their prophecy, you really don't know the full intention of it. He did not specifically state I had to start Joe Flacco in the championship game. He just said I had to start Joe Flacco. So I wasn't feeling any like deadly premonitions coming off of that. I feel like, looking back at it, I think I made the smart choice, but the smart choice is not always the right choice. Uh, I had him in until, what's his name? Amari Cooper was declared out.
Mm-hmm.
If he saw Amari Cooper, I would have been with it. Jets defense was lights out most of the season. Joe Flacco had not played like even a top half of the league passing defense up to that point. I think like all his performances were against really poor defenses. And to be honest, like, did you watch the game by chance?
Not much of it. No, not the Joe Flacco one.
Like what? Yeah,
Yeah,
the
only
Jets
the
Browns game.
highlights.
I
Only
don't
the
blame you.
highlights.
Like one of the big plays was like a 50 something yard touchdown pass to Jerome Ford that could have not went for a touchdown. He just kind of trucked it in. Like a lot of stuff went my way that maybe would not normally have. So Joe Flacco, I think, overperformed.
Okay.
Um, Aside from sitting Joe Flacco, starting Derek Carr, I know as a Bucks fan, the Saints always play the Bucks really hard. Uh, Two of our really good defensive players were out, Carlton Davis, and I believe one of our linebackers was out. Oh no, it's not linebacker. Sorry, Shaquille Barrett, who I might actually be a linebacker, but he plays as an edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was out as well, so I thought they were a little thin at defense, and Derek Carr is coming off a big week. I thought at least he wasn't going to have a bust week. He was going to give me at least 20 points, and it wound up working out for me.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean,
Oh, as
he
well
had a
as the
good
fact
game.
that as well as the fact that if Olave was going to catch a big touchdown, I would get a slice of that pie as well. So my,
Okay.
my thought was that my splash players were going to be a little more splashy than Ted's that week. Um, so I could just try to match a lot of his stuff, and then my splash players would put me over the top.
Okay. I
Unfortunately
see
for
the
Ted,
logic
his
there.
team had a pretty weak performance overall, but that was my strategy going into the week.
And hey, I mean, it did seem to pan out pretty good. Um, did you watch the Lions Cowboys game live?
Oh, you bet. Yeah, I was actually up at my dad's hunting camp
Did you
when they started
nut
playing
on that
Saturday.
touchdown?
I got up and I ran around the room like I not even that's not hyperbole. I stood up and put my hands in the air and I started screaming like yes, yes. So my dad's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "Don't you get it? Like that might have just cemented my trip into eternal glory."
And did
Jameer
he
Gibbs had
understand it
a
after you explained it to him, the white bush?
yeah, he doesn't care. He's like whatever. Fantasy football is like an enigma to him.
Okay. Okay.
But Jameer Gibbs had a pretty weak outing. Thankfully, CeeDee Lamb just had a career game for one reason or another. I don't know. Maybe he was promised some incentives.
Hmm? Hey, it was a good game. And what
I
happened?
will
What
say,
happened to Kamara?
he got an ankle injury.
Okay.
They're going to the playoffs. They probably thought, hey, if it's not hurt, let's just keep you out. We're winning this game pretty handedly.
Okay, that's fair.
Now, I would like to touch on the Lions game as well, though. Having watched that game live,
Okay.
not a huge fan of the way that the refs handled that situation,
Me neither. Me neither.
especially if what Dan Campbell said is true and he
Oh, I think he cut out here.
to the refs pregame. Like, is it a good thing that they're trying to play this trickery and have a whole bunch of linemen run up and throw this wrench into an otherwise pretty obvious situation? I don't know. Should it have bit the Lions in the butt? No. But that seemed like a robbery of a game to me as a impartial fan to the game.
Yeah, as the dust settled on that one, and more came out, and obviously, like the emotions kind of died down. I'll say that I do think the Lions got hosed on that. I think that all in all, sure they may have been trying to do too much, maybe confuse the ref, because at the same time, no matter what you're trying to do to sleight of hand the defense, the ref is still going up to the defense and telling them who's eligible. So it's not like they can't read the number on the jersey. And so I don't know why you have to do all that trickery. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, you're a professional ref. Dan Campbell did explain to them who was going to be eligible during that exact kind of call during the game. And it's inexcusable and a little dirty. And the thing that Wardles hates, my Detroit versus everybody in me, thinks it's a little riggy because it kind of cost the Lions any shot at the one or well, if they win this week and Dallas loses, they can get the 2 seed, but it cost them any shot at the 1 seed and a good shot at the 2 seed. And I don't know. I mean, listen, everyone's all hating me, but there was just such a cover-up job afterwards for the refs, like trying to blame it on the Lions for things like that. And I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that. The refs didn't do a good job. Hopefully that demotion of that ref team from the playoffs stands valid. But I also will say that after the penalty, it could go either way. Look, with Coach Campbell, he went for two. He was going to stick to his guns on the next two conversions. They got bailed out by an offsides on the second one and then again went for it on the third one. They, in my opinion, by at least the third one, you should be thinking, maybe it's just not in the cards for us. Maybe our offense has been good and our defense hasn't been good, and maybe we can just, at this point, kick and go into OT and try to win this thing. I mean, you still got to think about winning this game at that point. And I don't know. It's just statistically, and hopefully this doesn't blow your gasket, but I saw this statistically that it's way less of a shot to get a 2 point on not only your third attempt trying to do it, but from as far out as they were. So I
Oh
don't know.
yeah,
It just
100%.
seemed like, dude, just kick the field goal and go to OT at this point. Like, and so they didn't do it, and they didn't get it, and maybe that was a bit of stubbornness, but they definitely absolutely got hosed by an incompetent ref, and I think that's definitely the worst. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know. The other Dallas one was pretty bad where they picked up the chains because typically they even said it. You know what's ironic is I was even watching, I'm talking about the 2014 playoffs against Dallas and Dallas with Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson and Reggie Bush and all them. And um, it was when on Brandon Pettigrew, the pass interference that was called, the chains moved, and then after the chains moved, they picked up the flag and brought it all back. Which I even watched some. There was a game on. I think it was like a Sunday night game, or maybe it was Sunday afternoon, and they were saying, "Oh, the chain gang's moving." They're like, when the chain gang moves, you know it's like for real because they never get moved back once they move. And I thought back, I'm like, oh well, almost a decade ago they did get moved
Almost,
back.
almost never.
Almost
Yeah.
never, except for fucking Detroit. So I don't know which one was worse, but that one was pretty bad. I was very genuinely close to shedding a tear, but it didn't quite come out. But I was pretty angry at that one. So that was a bummer. But yeah, that game was just, it was what it was. Now we just got to beat Minnesota by 50 and move on to the playoffs. So is what it is.
And then also, yeah, just also on my team while we're talking about, I guess, my team's performance. Uh, some people were mentioning in the chat, I was dealing with a whole bunch of injuries and stuff. And yeah, it's true. My QB1 and my RB1 got obliterated early in the season.
Right.
Thankfully, though, we made that trade and pretty much replenished my stock. So unfortunately for you, those players wound up really rising up, the cream kind of rising. So
Oh.
I think that got overblown a little bit. Like I definitely was able to luckily patch up some of those holes.
Mm-hmm.
But I am happy to see that even in a season where I faced two big injuries, it worked out.
It did. No, and you know what? You survived two big injuries when every season it feels like you're surviving at least three. Like it just seems like you're always getting injury riddled. You're playing hard, you're putting the work into it, and like the injuries keep killing you season in, season out. And so it's good to see you, even with injuries again. The injury bug caught you again, but you this time you prevailed. So that was nice to see. So
Appreciate that.
yeah, good. It's a good dub for you. Glad you get to have your name on the trophy because it's a good feeling, especially once you get it and you see it and it gets to go wherever you want it for the whole year that you have it. It's a good feel. It's a good feel.
It does hurt me to have to beat my boy Ted though.
Yeah. Well, he fought hard too, and he had a really good season on top of that. So nothing he should be ashamed of. He had a really damn good
For
season,
sure.
especially with his draft and the trade. He ended up honestly coming out really. I mean, Derrick Henry didn't do great from that week. He would have been better off with ETN this week, but all in all, I don't think he lost any trade. I think I really loved that you guys, and I was, you know, I wanted to text Ted, but I didn't want it to be any kind of collusion, although it was ruled with Jordan. What he did earlier in the season wasn't collusion, so I figured I was safe, but I still just let it be. I really wanted to text Ted and be like, are you really going to miss out on the storyline of like Jerome Ford is in the flex for JB? Get the other ad to get Achan in the flex. Let's let these two big waiver ads go at it in the championship game because he had him on the
No,
bench for
that's
a
not
little bit.
I don't think it's collusion to like tell a person that, like I told you on the pod, I thought Chris Godwin was going to have a big week, right? Like, that's not collusion. It's just I think that player
Yeah,
is a good
true.
choice, or like, or you could even phrase it a little different. Like, why aren't you playing that guy? Like, I think he could have a big week
That is
because
what I
it's no
wanted to
different than
say though,
getting.
because I wanted
Yeah, it's
that.
no
I wanted
different
to see
than
Achan, and it panned out. Like that's sorry. Go ahead. What you're saying? It's not any different than what?
like reading advice online or on Reddit or something. You don't have to do it. It's not like they're setting your lineup for you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean that is fair, but it was a good. I was glad to see that panned out. I was glad to see that Ted put him in, and I think it had to do with Mostert being out. But I think I was glad to
Yeah,
see that it
most was
panned out,
declared out.
and it was like a cool like 29 and 24. You basically offset each other with them too. Like it was
Hmm.
pretty cool to see that one play out.
I was really
Roommate
hoping
battle and
Ted would like not see that news, but he's a student of the game. I should have known better. Like that was such a worthless hope.
Speaking of students of the game that paid attention, what about a student of the game that slept through taking Mostert out when he was ruled out in the Houston
Honestly,
game?
if he'll do the punishment, it is what it is. But it's almost a mockery of the losers bracket. Like I've been down there so much fighting for my freaking life, and he's just gonna, I guess, ignore it. I don't know what his work situation is. Like maybe he had to work late Saturday or something. I don't know. Plus, it's a 1 o'clock game here, so that's like what, a 10 a.m. game over there.
Yeah, he literally slept through it. Ted texted me and said before the game started, he's like, I think Loesch isn't gonna switch out Mostert, and I said something along the lines of like, yeah, I think he's gonna sleep through it, and he actually did sleep through it. So
Yeah, I mean it's tough. Like, hey, more power to you, man. I wish when I was down there I got that type of luck, but I got lucky in other ways this season, so is what it is.
yeah, I mean, when my points started to pull away at the very end, I definitely felt an air when that happened. When the 1 o'clock started and Mostert was still in, you know, I can't speak for Harambe, but I feel like the whole energy of the league, like what you guys were all thinking, like Ted was obviously thinking it, he was monitoring to see what Loesch would do. Like everyone kind of viewed that as a big disrespect to Harambe, and he lost. So you wonder if that's what that came from. But
I mean, it's just a game, right? Like, but also, I don't know. Like, he's going to do by by no means do I think Paul will not do the punishment. He's never been a sore loser or anything like that. He's always a good sport about this type of stuff.
no, he'll
So,
do it. Yeah, for sure.
and he'll come back strong next year. I think maybe he should stay away from eating before the draft. I think that'd be a good idea. But
Hmm. Yeah, I think we found out what happened there with Shroom Draft. But hey, that's that game was a close one too. I was honestly stressing all through the 1 o'clocks and even the 4 o'clocks. If we're just gonna recap the games real quick here, we can even bounce back to yours. But I was nervous through all the 1 o'clocks, and honestly, it didn't really start to pull away until the very end when Devontae had that last drive where he caught like 3 passes and he caught that. Did you see that touchdown he caught, that second one?
I did not get to watch that game. I was up in up in Georgia at my dad's hunting camp, so I didn't have any like TV for the games aside from like the night games, essentially.
Okay, well it was like a 4th and 1. Like, and the game was basically they needed an onside kick too, but they still just wanted to have a nice complete drive, and it's like a 4th and 1 on the 1, and just Aiden O'Connell just snapped it back, 1-on-1 corner of the end zone. Devontae made like a crazy catch, and that put him really that's what got him into like the 30s, and
I mean, it was like a fade route, like a corner
yeah, it was like a corner
fade or
fade,
something.
and then within a
Yeah,
couple,
that
just a beast. He just reeled it in.
Aaron Rodgers and him used to catch his hella tutties like that, man. That's like his specialty almost.
Yeah, well, they used it, and O'Connell put a pretty decent ball on him, and like within the same couple of minutes of that, Chris Godwin caught that garbage time 40-yard touchdown from Baker and brought him from like 2 points or 4 points to like 16, and like just like that. And then when I went up by like 25 points in like a course of 2 minutes, I was like at the very end of the 1 o'clocks, I was like, okay, so this feels good. This feels right. But you never know. You have Mahomes, Jetta, DK all left. Like you really never know. And then I was just stressing through the 4 o'clocks. And then I didn't want to talk shit until I knew what was going on with Jetta at about halftime. And so I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to make any comments. I wanted to be completely safe about it. But
Can
I
I
was
can I just
stressed.
bring up one of the most tragic things I've ever seen in my life about this game?
Yeah. What you got?
So Cole has rostered multiple kickers all season,
Yep.
and he left a 24-point kicker on his bench. He started the wrong one, dude. That is just, it's like divine comedy to me. I can't believe it. Harrison Butker goes off for a career high, I think, in fantasy, and it's on his bench.
Yep. Yep.
It's just tough. I mean, yeah, I feel it. Leaving points on your bench is always hard, but it's like the hindsight fallacy.
Yeah, you can never really. The thing that the way I always treat it is I can let it eat at me a little bit if it's like one that I really considered starting, but if it was one that I never even considered, like if I had, once I put Kenneth Walker and Zamir White in, I really wasn't considering. I guess a better thing to say would be Stephon Diggs, and Adams, or even like I guess a hypothetical would be like Kittle. Like Kittle set it and forget it. You know it. You had him for a bit when I traded him to
Yeah,
you.
you guys
Like
start your studs, man.
you just leave him. You just leave Kittle in with no questions asked. And if I had at the time, maybe back when I had Cole Kmet, if Cole Kmet puts up 20 and Kittle puts up 2, and even if I lose the week on it, it's like, all right, well that sucks. But at the same time, like I'm not starting Kittle, so I can't really get mad at myself.
Exactly.
You know,
You're
it's just
not
what it is.
sitting that player. Exactly. I agree.
So
That's how I felt about like seeing like Jameer Gibbs have a really bad week. It's like you're not sitting Jameer Gibbs. Not after like his top, I think like 12 season he had. I'm not sure what he finished, but I think it was top 12.
but
You're not sitting him.
no, exactly. You can't. You just can't. And this may actually even blow your mind a little bit, maybe not. But I will say this: I was sitting on my couch, eating some lunch, like at that table, and like watching a show right before the 1 o'clocks came on, and I was sitting there, and I swear to you, I was looking at taking out Devonte Adams and putting in DJ Chark because I was in the losers
No,
bracket. I was
you're
yes, I
kidding.
was right. I had it up. I had the transaction up to make the switch. I actually think I made the switch at one point and switched it back and then hovered over it again. Like I was a massive tinker. And I was sitting there because I was like, "Oh, DJ Chark, coming off of a I was trying to justify. I was in the losers bracket, like trying to make the big splash play to win it all. It's why I picked up Gabe and teetered with him too. But I was like with Devontae, that one was seriously like at like 12:58. I was sitting there thinking, okay, do I make this switch? And with DJ Chark, my reasoning was I was like, I had just grabbed him. He had 24 the week before. Like Bryce Young and his connections it looked like it was starting to heat up. He was going back home to Jacksonville, the team that drafted him for the first time. Like that, typically a players want to pop off that game. The Jaguars
Right.
defense has been ass. And Devontae has just been so inconsistent. 0.9 the week before. He really hasn't been anything that big. I was like, this could be the move that could win me the game and not lose the league. Like on a season wide basis, you would sit there and think like, oh, of course you start Devontae week in and week out. But like for a 1 game basis, maybe this is the game to pick DJ Chark. And that was genuinely I was thinking that. And then in my own head, eventually I was just like, I need to stop and
I mean, you still
just
beat
left it. I
Cole.
started my stud. Yeah, I still would have, and that's the other thing is I still would have, but at the moment I was in the moment I was just kind of like, it's Devonte Adams. If I need to start him in Diggs. Like if I'm gonna lose the league on it, I'm gonna lose the league on it, and
Yeah.
so I kept him in, and Devonte really just went nuts. And I was texting you, I was so emotionally happy. I was like, keeper, he's a keeper. But at the same time, I looked at where you drafted him and was like, well,
He's a first round.
maybe I can just get him. I have other better value I can probably keep.
Dude, I'm thinking the same thing. Like, I'm emotionally invested in CeeDee Lamb at this point. I know he's not going to repeat this season, but he brought me so much this season. Like, it's when I touched him. Like, when I got him, he just
Yep,
started popping off. And I'm just
exactly.
like, man.
You were meant to have him.
But if I want to keep Gibbs, I think Gibbs is going to be really good, but he's going to cost me a second round. So I don't want my first and my second taken up unless I feel really comfortable with that core of my team being Jameer Gibbs and CeeDee Lamb. And maybe I do. Like the keeper really adds a nice little fold in this game that we play.
Well, it's a little bit of strategy, and part of my reasoning back when it was all brought up was that if we're doing this for longevity, eventually maybe we do dynasty, but even for a few years of doing it this way, that like especially when you have a good season and you get second, third, first, and you have some players that just like you drafted them and they panned out, or you traded for them and they just popped off like you said with CD, that it's like you really get connected with the player and how they performed on your team, and so it's like it's nice to be able to say, "Oh, I'm keeping this player. They're going to be part of my team's DNA for a few years." And like that's kind of like a cool element to add, and it adds the strat of picking and choosing which ones you want to keep. And I just thought it would be, I think we all thought it would be a cool element to put in the game, and so
For
far it
sure. And like
seems like it's looking like that.
when I think about Dynasty, I'll be honest, like I think Keeper's a little more appealing than Dynasty, just on the off chance that your first draft, right?
Right.
If you have a bad year and we're playing with punishments, right? You can just you might lose 2 years in a row before you can improve your team.
It's possible.
It's a lot. I kind of like being able to just keep the good core of your team and have at it again. I really think that is probably going to be the most fun like method we can do. I would be down to try Dynasty, but I do think Keeper is probably going to be the most universally enjoyed form of what we could do as far as evolutions.
Right. And you know what? And like you said, Dynasty is all fun and games until you're like in one of those bottom 3 spots and your team's ass. And next year you just have an ass team. Like it's almost like, right? Like not as fun to look forward to. Where you're just kind of like,
Exactly.
just okay, so
It's work.
fantasy's just
Yeah,
gonna
it becomes
suck
work,
for
right?
me. It becomes, and not only work, it becomes like year-round maintenance. And I won't lie to you because I know I've even said in the past. It's just more that I've thought about it. I've said to other people in the past, like I think this is where I think we're all kind of thinking the league is heading to dynasty, and I'd be down with it and this and that. But honestly, the more I think of it, especially after coming off a bad season for me, and not even a horrible one, but just one where my luck was just trash, and coming off that season, and I overtraded. That was me. But coming out of that season, I'm like, I need a break, man. I need a couple months. Like, I need a couple
Yep.
months to just unwind and like, if we're doing dynasty and like if you're one of the few teams that your team is just ass, like you're just year round, like especially like if you're one of those people that really does get invested in our league, like a lot, you're just year round like an ass team, and just that is just pain to live with, man. So I know the idea is just we'll get better, but like it is harder to do that in dynasty. So I do keeper. We'll have that debate when it really comes down to it. But keeper might be our peak in terms of evolution of the league, but maybe not. We'll see how things go. We'll see what other people think.
All right, dude. So you gotta let me know. I saw you threw a little line out there earlier. How was the superlative gathering? We get some good feedback from the people of the league.
We did, and I was hoping we could get Jordan on here by the time we get to the superlatives, but he must be dealing with something very serious with his coworker. So, um, again, I know we all miss our co-host. We miss him, but he hopefully he'll be able to pop in at some point before the pod is up. But that said, if you don't mind, why don't we go ahead and get to our league superlatives?
All
And
right, yeah, man, run it.
I would like to say a couple things beforehand. I would like to say that this idea was kind of stemmed by a mix of Loesch bringing it up, you bringing it up. Like you guys kind of fostered this idea a little bit. I don't remember who sent the first text, but I know I got one from Loesch that got me talking about it either on the last pod or like in the group chat. But it was on. He was trying to mock me a little bit, but he was talking about telling me I needed to get ready for superlatives like worst trade and things like that. And I think that was on Sunday, December 24th. He
Well,
said you need
you
to get
know,
ready for the end of
he's probably
seasons
right,
award.
but the person you should not mock is the person who's also making up every superlative category.
Well,
You know what I mean?
you could see a little bit of the bias there in some of the categories that came in, because I feel like the league, some of them like they were unanimous, but they needed to be had. So I'm going to go through these 11 superlatives. I'm going to talk about the couple of the honorable mentions, the ones that got votes but didn't win, because I think everybody's kind of votes. I won't say who picked who, but everyone's votes should be out there. The ideas of what people thought should be sprinkled in,
Yeah,
and
as
we'll
long as
talk
there's
about
some agreement with it, you know.
yeah.
If it's like a one-off, I don't know about that, but if you got two or three votes, yeah,
Exactly,
definitely.
exactly. There's a couple humorous one-offs I'm going to throw in there, but other than that, yeah, there was a
Okay.
everyone had a couple, but well, I
Are you
want
going to
some reactions
expose? Are you
too.
also going to expose the voter?
I don't think I'll need to.
Oh,
I think
okay.
I think you'll be able to figure it out. So I think we're going to kick this off with the order in which I sent it. So I have them here. So the best waiver ad of the season is our first category. Best waiver ad of the season. And before I even dig into it again, this is our end of the season superlative segment. Wow. Okay. All right. Hey. Come on. All right. We need to get to it. Come on. Seriously. All right. I think we're good. Okay. All right. So, best waiver ad of the season The honorable mentions. And the first honorable mention goes to the one-off I was just talking about, where somebody voted for the best waiver ad of the season to
The
be...
Friday kicker ad.
Nope. Tank
Okay.
Dell.
Tank? Okay.
You want to give it a guess for who added Tank Dell?
I
Or who
assume that
chose
was a
Tank
little bit of
Dell?
auto fellatio there.
That was Cole. Yes. Yes, it was.
Okay.
That was Cole. So now, the runner-up to the best waiver ad of the season was Matt's ad of Puka Nakua.
Pookster! Okay, I agree
Pookster
with
coming
that.
in second with a couple votes. And then the runaway here with 6 votes, best waiver ad of the season superlative goes to Kyron Williams, Jordan, our co-host, who's not with us right now. Congratulations, Jordan.
Yeah, man. Kyron, I mean, I was even reading on the subreddit. There are people who've been playing fantasy football for decades that think Kyron Williams is possibly one of the best waiver ads of all time. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad our league can agree with that consensus.
Yeah, I definitely felt the same way. And that was just a great ad. I was jealous I didn't make it. And, good for Jordan. Kyron has to be a keeper at that point when you make it a waiver ad like that. So he'll be a first round draft pick and Jordan will get him for a second. That's value. So maybe if Jordan pops in, he'll be able to comment on it towards the end, but we'll see. So next one. The biggest trade winner of the season. Biggest trade winner with the season, almost unanimous, goes to JB in the CD Lamb trade.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I got to agree. I voted for myself as well. That one worked out really well for me. Unfortunately, you were on the butt end of that. But
It's all right.
like you mentioned the last time I was on, we've had trades where it hasn't worked out so well for me. And we're going to continue riding this wave until it crashes.
Of course, as it goes. No, it was a very good trade for you. Almost unbelievable how when you look at the trade as a whole, like kind of as you hinted at earlier, like you got CD and then he just went insane. And on the flip side, I got Devontae and he just fell off a cliff. And same with Damian Pierce. When you got Pierce, he was at least a flex. And then
They
he
just put
just
up
turned
8 to 12, in that
he
range.
just fell off into nothing. Not just injury. I mean, he just turned into nothing. And then even Kamara remained consistent when I thought he wouldn't. And Kittle had quite a couple booms for you when he was with you. So you got
Mm-hmm.
more boom than bust with him. And so, yeah, that was a big win of a trade. And really, when the trade completely shakes out and includes Cole Kmet and Garrett Wilson, because I got Kittle back. So, not bad. Not bad overall. A great trade. Definitely the trade that I'd say, along with how you managed the rest of your team, that I think the trade was a big part that helped you win this season. And so,
Oh, undoubtedly.
um,
Undoubtedly. CD Lamb carried me some weeks. Yeah, he was an absolute monster.
yep. And he was. And, I want to say fuck him for that, but listen, he did you good, and that's all. That's solid. I don't mind that. So the trade loser, biggest trade loser of the season goes to, unanimously me.
Oh, no. Okay, but Sean, you also had the most trades, right?
I did. So as Wardle kind of alluded to at one point during the season, that I'm gonna lose a couple of them. I'm not gonna win every trade that I make, but I lost a couple bad ones, like I already said with the Devontae one, how that played out.
Yep.
Couldn't have gone
It's
worse.
tough.
I do think it's worth noting that one person who actually added in specifics to that choice was Ted, and he actually said that the trade that I lost the worst was the Pollard trade, trading away Etienne, Swift, and Nico Collins and getting T. Higgins and Pollard. And
Okay, oddly enough, I agree with that.
I do
That
think
is a
that one
worse
was
trade than the
bad.
one we made.
I do think that was worse. And I didn't even keep T. Higgins long enough for him to reap any weeks of benefit because I got rid of him to get Broncos Country Let's Ride on my bye week. So I didn't even get any of the T. Higgins
Wow.
20-point weeks either that he
Ted with
threw up
the
clean.
very perceptive pull there. 100% I agree. I think that was more lopsided than our trade.
And
Like, at
that
least I gave you some startable players.
you did. I mean, Devontae really became. Yeah, he really. I mean, he was startable, but as like a wide receiver too, not as like a wide
Yeah,
receiver one. And that's
Agreed.
That it was a killer. But yeah, I mean, and Tony Pollard, Tony Pollard had a month where it was like, basically what happened with that trade is ETN, he popped off the month after I traded him. Like that week, that very next week, and then for a whole month, he popped off. But then he kind of cooled down. And Pollard, the first month that I had him, was awful. But then he picked up, and he was like 17, 17, 20, which is a good RB2, right around there. He's not putting up elite numbers, but he's like solid. And so then he cooled back down to the point where I had to sit him in the playoffs or in the losers bracket. So, yeah, that was a bad one. A couple really big bad ones, but yeah, just traded too much in general, and that would definitely make me the trade loser. So I will take that 100%. All right. All right, category number 4, Jordan-specific category, the littlest peen. Littlest peen. So I'm going to read off all the one-offs on this one too, even though there was one person who ran away with it. But people who received votes for the littlest peen were Loesch, myself,
Okay.
and Scrimp Gang each received a vote for littlest peen. But the person who received the most votes by far for littlest peen in our league, James Wardle. Not sure which one to do
Wardle.
here, if it's this one or this one, but
that's a clap.
yeah, definitely a clap. Yeah,
The
and he
crowd goes
campaigned for it
wild.
too. He wanted it. He was trying to. He
You gotta
wanted
give him
it.
what he wants.
Absolutely. And littlest peen, Wardle, you got it. You prevailed. Congratulations on your probably half an inch peen. So that one worked out in his favor. All right, next category. We have most likely to start an injured player, to comment on you saying that Cole shouldn't be roasting people who are making the categories, because most likely to start an injured player was unanimous. Loesch.
Does that mean he even voted for himself?
He did vote for himself. Yeah, he did.
Okay,
Eight of the
I can
10
applaud
league,
the
and I didn't say
self-awareness.
this at the beginning, but 8 of the 10 league members did manage to vote. One of them was also like dying of illness and was just, I guess, unable to really get that done. But yeah, 8 out of the 10 league members voted, so we do have most of the league.
Yeah, 80% is a great turnout.
Yeah, so Loesch was unanimous.
I applaud the self-awareness to vote for yourself. That takes a lot of chutzpah. So
Yeah, and hey, listen, he did it in his most important game of the season, and he ended up with the deucing. So there you go. Is what it is. All right.
creation always finds its way home.
He is the creator, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he forged it.
He
It's kind of
forged
like,
it.
you ever seen Lord of the Rings?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about how, like, in the darkness another was made, forged in the fires of Mount Doom. Cole, like, went through some stack of wood, probably in the middle of the night, and like forged this thing. Oh man.
Probably cast some weird Loesch spell on it and just made it his. Listen, he's bound to have it more than anybody else, I feel like, because he's the one who created it. No one can have it more times than him. Maybe.
Dude, honestly,
Maybe.
I when I first saw that thing, it truly, I gained respect for Cole. Like, building a shitty piece of wood with a picture on it is one thing, but having the wherewithal to dip it in like lacquer or something, that's just so good. It really is his magnum opus, I think.
Yeah, no, he went all out for it, and it is now something that none of us want to handle. But now it's back to its original creator. So, category number 6. This was one I thought would be interesting to see what the people thought. Most likely to be an invited guest on Dome. All right, because we had some repeat guests this season. Want to see what the people thought. If they thought there was maybe a bias, see what we came out with. And this came down to 2 people. One of them got a couple votes as the runner-up here, and that was James Wardle as our runner-up, most likely to be invited onto Dome.
That's because he just hops in the fucking call. Yeah, he doesn't wait to get invited.
He's a pod crasher, so I don't know if he's most likely to be invited. And that was another one where maybe I could have made a category for him, and he and Cole could have competed in the pod crasher category, but I just kept it with this one. So most likely to be invited to Dome, very close to unanimous, just a couple off, is our boy Teddy Olave Garden, who did make, I think, the most appearances this season I believe he did. I
Yeah.
didn't run that statistic though before I checked. I didn't look at it.
And I mean, it's not even just this season. Ted's always been a reliable friend of the pod. I'd
Oh,
love to see him. I don't know if he's ever been a host. If not, I'd love to see him be a host one season. I think that'd be great.
he only ever hosted Talking Dome, as far as I'm aware. But he's a go-to. He's one that like you can go to him and just say, "Hey, I need you," and he's always there for the pod. So he's usually who I go to as our first guest of the season because I know he's been itching for months to be on Dome at that point, and so I know like he's usually my first invite to get him on there to get him talking about Harambe Dome. So he's a good one. He's good to the pod, man of the pod, fan of the pod. Glad he won this category. So the next one was a little bit dicey because a lot of people, some people didn't. I shouldn't say a lot. A couple people didn't answer it. A couple people didn't
Yeah,
really remember. But we
I
did.
personally
And
didn't vote on number 7.
this one I can understand. It's like it's hard to keep track of. You had to have been like really dig for it. Really, there's probably would have only been a couple you really thought of because of the highlights of the ones that got like really popular. But the best icy hot of the season, I felt like it was worth throwing in there to see what we could pull out of it. Um, and so the winner, the only one receiving more than one vote, was Jordan's Tuck QB icy hot take. The one where Jordan said that Tuck would continue to incorrectly, and
Oh,
I wish he was here to give his take. I probably butchered it just then, but I wish he was here to give it. But the one where he said that Tuck would continue to start the wrong quarterback, and it lasted for like over a month, and it would like cost him, and it did. Like he was spot on for like a long time, longer than most icy hots last. So I thought that was one that was very deserving because it was very entertaining watching it come to fruition week in and week out for a while.
yeah, that's a good one.
It was pretty solid.
I had forgotten that he made that one, but that was after the Josh Allen trade where he cursed him with that, if I remember correctly.
Yep. That was it. Was after that. Yeah, because he was mad about Tuck trading Josh Allen, and he was mad about Josh Allen being treated like a piece of meat, being tossed around the league. So, um, yeah, that was a good one for him to win. So, next one we've got here, category number 8. Most likely to spend money on a player after Wednesday waivers. Almost like this one was targeted too. And unanimously, the winner of this superlative was Skiddly Diddlyosis.
No.
Cole, I think honestly at certain points it became a meme once it got super highlighted of Cole doing it. But um, yeah, he definitely was doing it on purpose for a bit, but he definitely for a long time was just doing it. Like that's just what he did. He talked about it, waivers not being his strength, and I don't think maybe he understood the concept of what waivers were, and that it's not going to be super competitive, especially for players that don't have something big happen to them over like the course of like the day before. You don't
Right,
necessarily have
like
to be
their
dropping money.
handcuff and their main guy got hurt or something like that.
Right, exactly. So he was just dropping money to drop money, and listen, he's the one who called waivers one of his weaknesses. So that showed to me throughout the season. Um, so
Which is weird because you would think like a business major would be wheeling and dealing properly.
yeah, well, listen, he's getting overworked by Amazon and Bezos right now. So
Yeah, I
maybe
mean, he did get that new promotion. I'm sure he's really, really busy with
he's in the corporate world
whatever his
now.
new job entails. Yeah.
Yeah, at least if my understanding was correct. But yep, Loesch is the winner, most likely to spend money on a player after Wednesday waivers. Okay, this was a fun one. I thought would be interesting to see what people said here. But the category of the best shit talker throughout the season, best shit talker. All right, so this one there were a couple one-offs, but the second place, the runner-up in the best shit talker category was Tuck. Tuck got 2 votes. Tuck got 2 votes to be the best shit talker. So
Yeah, and I let me speak on that real quick because I was
okay,
one of those votes. I voted Tucker for mainly one reason. You have to be a dedicated shit talker to have your team suck ass and continue talking shit to people who are coming at you.
That's that is true.
Like you
That
have
is
to
true.
be a professional shit talker. So that's why I voted for Tucker. I thought, holding his own and doing it well against all odds, I can support that.
There you go, Tuck. A little bit for you. JB campaign for you there. You get some claps. All right. The winner of the best shit talker in our league this past season, Vava!
Wow.
Vava with 4 votes. 4 votes is that's half the voters voted for
Yeah,
Vava.
Varun, I mean, he's got some really creative shit talk. That's for sure.
I think he won it off of one morning of shit talking Tuck early in the morning after Tuck tried to come at him. I think that one event of him just railing into Tuck in the group chat, I think that's what got him this win, if I'm being honest. I mean, I voted for him, and that's the thing that I drew back on when I was casting my vote. So I think he had the most entertaining shit talk because of Tuck's reaction to it, but also it was just, yeah, it was good too. I mean, he shit talked Tuck pretty bad on that one.
Who are the other two people who received votes, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, not at
I
all.
don't think I belong in this category. I'm just curious what other people thought.
So it was actually kind of 3, and what I mean by that is Matt got a vote. Ted
Matt?
Matt got a vote.
Oh, Matt does have some bits of shit talk to you specifically.
It
Yeah.
is. It was definitely stuff targeted at me, and I
Yeah.
don't remember who voted for him, but whoever voted for him probably likes when I get shit talked. So I don't remember who it was though. But Matt got a vote. Ted got a vote. And when I say kind of 3 because Va voted for himself, but he wasn't sure if he could vote for himself, so he also tossed in there, if I can't vote for myself, I'm voting for JB.
Okay.
So
Real recognize real. I respect that.
those are the 3 that had the kind of one-offs there. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So
Varun's vote does count for himself, but I'm glad to know that I, at least struck a little fear in at least one person in this league.
you did. You received one. You received one almost. So the next category, and these last 2 are go hand in hand together pretty much. So the best team name, and for these ones I do want to read off the one-offs because they're entertaining to me. So the best team name. So receiving 1 vote, not the winner, but receiving 1 vote, and this person voted for themselves. I'm gonna expose them. Uh, Nuck if you buck. Nuck if you buck, and a
You
nice
dumb
little nice little vote
motherfucker.
for yourself.
Vote for
So that's like
yourself.
a yep.
Yeah, oddly enough, I think Wardle said he couldn't be here because he was having some ribs surgically removed so he could suck himself off.
That was definitely a. I thought this could become a self suck category, but it only really panned out that way for Wardle. So yeah. Also receiving 1 vote, not from themselves, was Easy Breezy Cover Girl Tuck getting a vote there for his team name, which I actually liked Tuck's team name, and I liked his shitty cropping of his picture that he did. That the shittiness makes it so great. So I'm gonna give him a
Didn't Tucker have a team name about like hanging himself or something?
yeah. He did for a minute there. He like literally put someone like being hung up on his. I don't know how he even got that up there, but yeah.
Yeah, he finally found a good one at the end. That's what really matters.
Yeah, and hey, you know what? He had been struggling all season, and his team kind of found life after EC Breezy Cover Girl. So more or less. So hey, there's been talk about connections to the team name and success in the league, and Tuck's team was more popping off than not after the change. So EC Breezy Cover Girl getting a vote could be what turned around a season. All right, the runner-up by 1 vote less is runner-up in this category is Olave Garden. Give him a couple claps. Olave Garden for a runner-up. I know it's kind of handing out a participation trophy to give him claps, but I'm still going to give them to him. Olave Garden was a good name. I think a lot of people appreciate it. I don't know if you were one who voted Olave Garden, but
I did not. I do like that one, but I really more enjoyed the bit. Like Ted's commitment to the bit on that one was very good.
yeah,
If he'd catch a dub and go to the chat with like a little Olave Garden snippet, that was very creative. I did like it.
yeah, no, it's definitely a good one. I liked Olave Garden too. I thought it was a good name. And coming in first place by 1 vote, the best team name of the season, Stroud Boys. Matthew Ganthier. Matthew Ganthier was Stroud Boys. Congratulations, Matt.
Now, okay. So I don't want to start some ruckus, but supposedly this was not a name that he came up with
That's
or Jordan
correct.
came up with, correct?
That's correct.
So, if in fact Ted came up with his own name, then I feel like we got to give it to Ted. However, I did vote for Stroud Boys. The irony of
Wait,
like
so you're roasting yourself on your own vote right now?
well, I didn't even think about it. I wrote this at work whenever I jotted down this list, but
Mm.
I just thought the irony of like Matt of all people in our league naming himself after a joke on the Proud Boys was hilarious. That's all I was.
When you say Matt of all people, like, expand on that.
Aren't the Proud Boys like neo Nazis?
From my understanding, there's something like that. Jordan would have more
Yeah,
information on that.
Matt's like the complete opposite of that like archetype. So it's just kind of funny.
It is. It is. Yeah, I was interested in his name choice too, especially because it wasn't even created by him. But hey, he took it, he ran with it, and it won a superlative. So good for you, Matt. Good for you. You won something this season, since you and the Vikings won't.
Also, the
Um,
picture was excellent. The picture was excellent with it.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I only saw it on the internet like 5 different times before he chose to use it. But yeah, good picture. Um, all right. So our final category for the superlatives coming to an end here. So the worst team name of the season. This one was interesting to see the choices. So a couple of the one-offs were biting kneecaps. Biting kneecaps, which I mean, hey, I guess you just haven't liked it for a long time because I've had it like that for 3 years, 2 or 3.
That's gonna leave a mark.
That's gonna. When I came up with biting kneecaps like 3 years ago, I was looking for something to do like an image off the internet. But when I found this, I was like, if your kneecap got bit, that is gonna leave a mark. So I thought it was perfect. I ran with it, and I've left it ever since for the most part. So I will continue to be biting kneecaps next season as well. I can confirm right now that that will not be changing, at least not prior to the season. So I'll be going into the draft with this name once again. Another one-off for worst team name, Gibby DeLute. Gibby DeLute got a vote for
Wow,
worst team
really?
name. Yeah, Gibby DeLute got one.
Okay, apparently not
So
very big fans of Biggie.
yeah, I can tell you it wasn't me, but I won't reveal who it was. You'll have to dig through that, interrogate some people. I have all the receipts of who voted what, but I'll leave it be.
I mean,
Um,
that's tough when we had like, you know, sexual predator names running around the league and then you pick that one. Or
yeah.
I don't even think Gibby the Loon is worse than like the captain and the Gibbs. Like, what the hell does that even mean? It's like what?
There were a lot of team names to keep track of this season. And you know what? This one didn't receive a vote even from me because I chose a different one, but I want to give it honorable mention as one that was just not. Because I had a conversation with another league member when coming up with these superlatives about how this one was bad, yet it didn't get a vote. I think it might have gotten forgotten, but I also want to give an honorable mention for worst team name that didn't even receive a one-off to Grass on the Fields Play Ball. That one was pretty bad by Ted there.
Oh, okay. That's like Ted's a baseball fan. That makes sense.
Yeah, baseball. I just want to throw that one out there. But moving on to another one of the one-offs. I only go in Amon Ra. I only go in Amon Ra received a vote for worst team name, and I thought that was hilarious. It wasn't me, but I thought it was hilarious. That one got a vote because I think Matt got bullied into changing it because of how much he got roasted for it. Once we turned it into, we know what he was trying to do. He was trying to talk about how he only goes in Raw. That's supposed to be like a pretty good name in that sense. But what the rest of us took it as, or those who tried to decipher it on the pod whenever he did it, was he only goes in Amon Ra. So he only enters Amon-Ra St. Brown, the wide receiver for the Detroit Lions. And we're still wondering to this day if Matt gets that's what we're like. That's kind of what he's saying. I only go in Amon-Ra. He only goes inside Amon-Ra. So that definitely didn't work out for him, what he was trying to accomplish. We definitely warped it, and he changed it because of that. So definitely, I think, worth receiving of a vote. Okay. The next one, also one of Matt's names, got a couple votes, more than just a one-off, is I Amon Raw Dog Young Hose. I Amon Raw Dog Young Hose, which is definitely way worse than Grass on the Fields play ball.
Yeah, I mean, this one is actually so bad. When I wrote it at work, I could not write the whole thing. Like, I didn't want anybody to find the sheet of paper and see what I wrote.
That is worthy of because Matt is, yeah, Matt. I don't know what he was thinking, and I don't know how you go from I only go in Amon Ra and make it worse. Like, you went worse and stuck with Amon Ra, and then did a disservice to the young ho by adding in him in the form of like a pedophilic type name. So I Amon Ra Dog Young Hose, definitely the runner up here. And our final superlative, first place winner of the worst team name of the season, 500 Football, Skidly Deliosis, receiving half the votes.
That's some generational hate.
500 Football. Yep. Thoughts on that one?
Jeez. I didn't think that name was terrible, and he did finish 500, I think. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's pretty much conforming to mediocrity, which is kind of silly, but
right. You're striving for 500. That's not going to get you anywhere. If anything, it got him the losers bracket in the L. So
we play good, clean, hard 500 football.
yeah. So Skidly Dilly gets another superlative. All the negative ones, though, pretty much.
Yeah, it sounds like Loesch cleaned house.
Yeah, on all the bad ones, he pretty much did,
If that
except for
house
worst
was
trade. I got that one.
on fire and full of poop.
Yeah. So, well, that wraps up our superlatives, and that leaves us with this. It looks like Jordan ended up in a pretty serious situation because he was never able to hop on, which is a bummer for our last part of the season. But JB, running it as the other co-host, you've done quite a job. I appreciate you just kind of not even taking a minute to question, well, where is Jordan? I'm tired of this. No, you just stepped in and you ran with it, and you co-hosted this thing with me. So I
Hey, it's kind
appreciate
of
it.
like being back in the saddle, buddy.
Yeah, you're one of the originals. You're one of the originals. So that's it's good to have you on for this one. And
I appreciate that.
to kind of
I'd
wrap
also like
up,
to add,
yes,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry, let me just add this before you do that. Thank you to Sean and Jordan for running this pod. It's not easy, it's a commitment every week to have to get it recorded and get it uploaded timely and properly. So thanks to you guys for getting it done this season.
Well, it's appreciated. It wasn't perfect along the way. I'll give these claps for me and Jordan here, well deserved. I know people loved when Jordan's little takeover as the introductory host, and he enjoyed doing that too. But definitely, there's going to be more love. I almost wanted to add too, and it slipped my mind here because he's not on here. But when I ended off the superlatives, I wanted to throw in one superlative that I kept, and it only has one vote, so I'll just throw it in now, even though he's not here. There was another superlative. And there was only one vote, as I said. And the superlative is best co-host of Harambedome. And it goes to Jordan Dry. It goes to Jordan Dry, although he's not here.
Let's give it up
Best
for
co-host
Jordan Dry,
Jordan Dry.
everybody.
Best co-host. Got one vote. And that vote came from his co-host. There was co-host tension this season. And hopefully going into the next, it seemed like it was ironed out pretty good. We have our good system now, and nothing but love for my co-host, although he's not here. I enjoy co-hosting with him. He's been a good co-host to have with me. I've enjoyed doing it week in and week out with him, and it's good to get everything. Although first time ever that a pod's been lost was under me, and on my name. But we've also done some international dome a couple times, and we've we're doing the power rankings, and it's now we've got superlatives thanks to the ideas of league members, and everyone's throwing in, and we're doing this thing together. So it's been pretty good.
I just
So
want you to know that's not the first time a pod has been lost. That is the first time somebody's admitted to it, but I've definitely lost a pod before and had to re-record it.
really,
Yes, it has happened.
wow.
My we were recording a pod one time, and I think I accidentally quit recording because I hit spacebar or something. And yeah, we had to re-record it.
Okay, so
So it's
not the
been done
first pod
before.
lost.
There's definitely growing pains to this podcasting business. But yeah, not the
No, for
first. You're
sure.
just the first to admit it.
Fair enough. And then yeah, get the well deserved beat down for it, but it's okay. It's you can't lose pods. You just can't do it. It's people's time. And it was a good one that's lost to nothing. So it's all right though. We like you said, we learn, we grow, and the pod continues to evolve. So um, look, we're bringing together the last pod here. We're at the end. We've reached our limit. We've done superlatives. We've recapped the winners and the losers game, and now we're keepers is a discussion where we'll obviously get to the point where we're going over all the different rules we want to add and change and keep, and now we're starting to get it to a point where we're writing the rules down and adding on to that. So that'll be nice. It was a good suggestion by you earlier in the season to have Jordan get that done, and he committed time to getting that done. So that's some more claps for Jordan there on
The
that one.
sacred text.
The sacred text. So listen, do you have any closing thoughts here? There's no real. You honestly got the Shakaroni take out of me with the Lions game and the Cowboys earlier. We don't have any icy hot, no real budget summary to look at. We leave that at peace when Jordan's not here. So, do you have any closing thoughts? Any closing remarks? Do you have anything you want to add in on the Shakaroni take? Anything that's been just shredding you on the inside?
No, I'm not. I'm not getting shredded up by anything.
Okay, I
Um,
wouldn't imagine
it's
you
been a
would be with
very
the league
fun
winner.
season. I hope everybody had a fun season. Looking forward to another great one coming up, and hopefully we can start kicking around ideas about where the next draft is going to be. If not, you know, in at my place in Georgia, maybe somewhere else, we can kind of get out in the woods or raise some shit again.
Yeah, I think until one of us, gets to the point where we've like got settled, years down the road we've got settled, we're getting nice homes and things like that. Until we get to that point, I feel like for a while destination draft is going to be like a good, and even after that, like destination draft is going to be a good thing to do. It was fun doing it this past season, so definitely look to do it again, and get that all sorted out. But yeah, JB, congratulations on your championship. We'll obviously get to getting you that Travas. Got to get to getting you that trophy, and then you got to go get your name inscribed on there. Super exciting. But congrats again. It's well deserved. It's well earned. And
Thank you, sir.
Loesch, double deuce. I said it in my video. Shouldn't have dragged me down there. Although I do agree with your response in that video that I did belong down there this season. I do feel like I did. And but not enough to lose the league. So for all those haters out there that wanted me to lose, sorry, you're gonna have to keep waiting. But that aside, back into the bigger picture of the league, it was a good season. We didn't have any big controversies like the whole Damar Hamlin controversy when it came to how to react to the game that got canceled. And so, with that said, I think it ended smoothly. I think the league honestly we've had a couple of like the past couple of years, maybe not consecutively, but like we had the COVID fiasco, how we were going to handle that as a league. We had the canceled game situation, how we're going to handle that as a league, and so we've been through some trials these past couple seasons, and it's nice to get to a point where we have a nice smooth season. Loesch is a loser, you is a winner, and we're moving on to the next with keepers. So,
Oh yeah, I'm eating good this season.
oh yeah, it's been a good year. So that said, if you have no other closing thoughts, I'll wrap us up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just with as I do every pod. Listen, we did it this year for Harambe. We will always do it for Harambe. It's Harambe for president, the name of our league. Dicks out for Harambe, as always, and RIP Harambe. So, with that said, this season, boys, is wraps.